Question ever. However, the last few weeks of practice has gone for you guys.
That's literally what we were just talking about in our huddle after practice. Is today was the 28th practice that we've had. Now you count exhibition and scrimmage in that because you get 30 days before the first game. And so I just asked any of them. I think we've worked harder than we've ever worked, and that's exactly what everybody has said. And so I think they're in that element of like, oh my gosh, I'm tired, and at the same time, there's a lot of pride in that and being able to say that they've done more than they've ever done in all facets. So that part, we're game ready. We are ready to be done with practice. Not coaches, we're never ready to be done with practice, but players are ready to start playing games.
Yeah, can you give us an update on Liz and how she's doing, and then also want to ask you about Kelby Washington as well?
Yep. So right now, in terms of Liz, we'll know 100% tomorrow, but it's looking like this season's probably out of the question. So she'll be healthy. She'll still be on the bench. She might miss a little bit, but we'll have that release at some point soon. So we'll let her make that announcement. And Kelby's in a similar situation, so she's just taken a step back from Oklahoma basketball right now, but she's doing pretty well, and so she will periodically be around as well. So she's just taking a little bit of a break.
How tough is that to have lost Liz with what everything that she's brought to this team over the last few years, especially with the transition that y'all are going through this year?
Yeah. Quite honestly, it's one of those things where I feel like the loss of Liz is devastating. Her leadership, her off season, she's worked really hard. If you'd ask everyone on our team, they're all like, she's the leader. Now she's just going to move over in a different seat, in a different capacity. I think she's still coaching. You probably still heard us yelling at her in practice. She's still out there with everybody. So she has this really special personality that you can see the game inside of her and you can see the leadership inside of her. So she's going to be better for it. It's going to be really hard in the interim. But at the same time, somebody always steps up, and we'll have a lot of young people have a lot more opportunity in terms of getting that game experience, especially with the tough non-conference that we have. So it will be, it's tough, but we'll have to get used to it pretty fast.
Not that competition or chemistry were an issue, but when you have so many different roles to replace, what has that done for the group, knowing that there are a ton of minutes, a ton of opportunities available?
My favorite thing in that is that there's not one person that's saying, I'm going to be Maddie Williams, I'm going to be Taylor Robertson, I'm going to be, so we don't have that. Everyone is really, really focused on the balance and just the overall bringing their game and trying to play to other people's strengths as well. We're still young, and then we have some experience. We just don't have a lot of experience together. So you're going to see a lot of that through the, through our non-conference especially, and you hope that really during conference time it really starts to come together. We always play a lot of people, right? We always have a lot of balance in our scoring. We have a lot of balance in terms of our rebounding. Those are things that we're going to continue to have to do, especially without Liz, especially with a lack of experience in terms of minutes played on our floor. So that kind of stuff, I think this team has really done a nice job, but it's going to take us as coaches a while too to really get the rotations down. I think a lot of people have earned a lot of minutes, but it's less just about those minutes. But when you're trying to play 10 plus people a game, getting those rotations down is going to take us a little bit.
When you have a young team, is it difficult for those guys to be like, you don't have to be Maddie or to be yourself within the opportunity, the system that's afforded to you?
Well, I think you would think it would be, right? But I don't feel like anybody thinks that. I think I think we celebrated that class in an incredible way, and then I think when they graduated, the really cool thing about them is they want tomorrow to be better than yesterday. And so that's the alumni here. That's you name the alum from this program, and that goes back a long time. And so I think we're lucky that that's just been part of the foundation, that it's just the next people up, right? We're the gatekeepers of this program, and so that's what we look at, less than how we need to replace people. So I think that's probably our biggest message, and that's been probably our players. You kind of get that where when you're young, I want to play, and then it's, well, I want to win. And then you start to find the element of, wow, it's really fun to play together. And then everything else goes out the window other than you give your best and you have fun doing it. And then that's when people really start to come and get part of this program. And that's what you can see has happened in the last couple of years, and probably before that, but obviously I haven't been here. But being able to see that, this team has already gotten that. They already gravitated toward, let's have fun, let's go play, let's, show what we got.
That senior class had a lot to do with the way you guys played on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, shooting, up tempo,
Yeah.
getting the ball up and down the floor. Have you noticed, has there been any change stylistically in the way you guys play, or has it kind of been new players maybe filling into those roles in the way you guys play?
Well, I think there's an element of spacing, and that's something just from a philosophical standpoint in terms of the pace that we want to be able to play. But I think that obviously we're going to recruit to some of that, but the players that were already here really fit all of that too. So we were just really lucky in all of that, right? From a foundational culture standpoint and then style of play standpoint, everything's been really awesome. And it's been in alignment. And so that's where I think we've had some of that success too, because it's not like you're coming in and changing everything and all of a sudden you're kicking everybody off the team and you're going to the portal and you're doing all these things, right? And so for us, it was a really cool match. Which I'm really grateful for, and I think that's also why now this team, which is new to everybody, right? We're gonna kind of surprise some people, but we'll grow together. But it will still be a very similar style. I mean, it's the same style. It just has different players.
You talk about not overhauling things through the portal, but obviously one of the additions, Lexi, is somebody you get coached against a fair amount. What have you learned about her since she's been out here with y'all?
Gosh, I love Lexi Keys. I mean, she has been phenomenal. She's just been a great fit. She's blue collar. She's from here. That's what we wanted to be able to do. So it just means a little bit more. She fits in. She's almost a little like, when she first got here, I think she almost took a little bit more of a back seat. And I think now you can really start to see her, defensively. I think she does a great job. She can obviously shoot the basketball, but her off-ball movement is phenomenal. And she's just somebody that you have to have in your program. So it's been really, really fun and really easy to coach her.
With Landry Allen being in the state as well, I mean, what did you see out of her getting a chance to go out and watch her in her high school games and things like that around here?
Well, you knew Landry was Sooner born, Sooner bred, and that was one of the things that we wanted to be able to do. And she has really great touch. You knew that. Her little turnaround shot, her length, right? She's from here, all those things. And there were obviously some questions in terms of her physicality. Can she play at this level? Can she, guard at this level? Can she, without Liz, she's going to get a lot more opportunity than she probably would. I will say this, though, from June, when they come here on campus for the first time, we get to have kind of our first workouts with them, to now, she has shown the biggest improvement of anybody in our team. And every single player would tell you that. I mean, it's been phenomenal to just be able to watch her. Because she also comes in and, she takes everything to heart, right? So I could say something about, boxing out, and she thinks she's the only one that's not boxing out. I'm like, I wish you were the only one not boxing out. You know what I mean? But everything is so, that's what, when you get to play for your state, it is personal in a really cool way, because you're not just representing your own blood, you're representing your community, right? And every community around here gets behind their people. And I think that's what she takes that every day onto the court.
How have you gone about sort of helping bring along that physicality, the defense, those elements?
Other than beating them every day? I don't know.
Pretty much.
No, I think there's different things that you do. So we spend actually a lot of time, and I know today you guys got to see kind of our practice squad step in a little bit, but we actually spend a lot of time playing against each other. And so, one, I think that's just important for the development of everybody. And, we play a lot of different combinations. So most of the time, we just count off. We're not strategic in saying, okay, this group of 5 are going to be here and this group of 5. We just count off and you're going to figure it out. And then, that's part of our problem solving. That's part of making reads. That's part of playing to each other's strengths. So that's a significant part of that physical part. And then we also bring in some guys that can help. I step in sometimes and just, it's really nice when I have the whistle, because I don't call fouls on myself. I only call them on them. But I think part of that too is that's why we scheduled the non-conference way that we did, because we've got to be able to, because we knew that we would be new. Without Liz, maybe, I don't know if we would have scheduled this tough without her. But one, it shows belief in our team, and that's what we want to make sure that our team knows, that we still believe in them and we still have those standards here at Oklahoma. And I think the second thing is we got to be battle tested by a lot of different teams. And that's really important, because, you're playing really physical teams. You're playing teams that are really good and can stretch you out, and there's different ways that you've got to guard that. There's different ways that you've got to score on that. So you can go against guys that are really physical, and we'll say, okay, ball pressure. There, you can go against zones that we run, that they run. We go against 6 guys sometimes. So I think there's a lot of different ways that you're trying to figure that out. But with a young team, I've been really impressed with this team. They step on the floor and they work every day. So it's going to come. It just might be a little painful in the process.
You talked about that non-conference a couple of times. Is that something that you looked back with how the success you guys had in the regular season the last 2 years, but then the last step, is that something that you wanted more diversity of, not just really good teams, but different styles, so that not just for conference play, but beyond?
Yeah, and that's been a significant part. Well, I think that was Sherry's philosophy too, was to play really good teams in the non-conference. So that's part of a standard of what we do here at Oklahoma, right? And so that's where, again, we're gatekeepers of the program, and so that's the standard for the program. From a personal standpoint, it's still a philosophy. I mean, I did the same thing when I was at Drake. I'm doing the same thing now, because you want to be ready for conference. You also want to be ready for postseason, so you got to play the long game. So we've got to be able to learn. It's really great learning when you win. It's really awesome. Losses can teach you some things too. So you really have to dig in and adjust. It also really keeps the players fresh. You know, it's fun to be able to go into a game and your game plan's completely different and it's one day apart. You know, and it kind of keeps you where you've got to remember concepts more, and you've got to really understand the feel of the game more, because a lot of what we do is less about a chess match from a coaching standpoint where you go from point to A to B. You got to start to read, right? So we can see that on the offensive end, it's really starting to come. On the defensive end, it's the same thing. If they run the same play over and over, we got to start to adjust, and we got to be able to make those reads, right? Who's hot in a game, even if maybe in the scout they, you know, aren't this great shooter, but all of a sudden they've hit a lot. You got to adjust in the game, and so it also is just about making those adjustments.
And then what have you seen from Peyton? Obviously, she was around a lot last year, but you know, a little bit now that she can, you know, play for y'all. How different is that, and how has she come along as a player?
Yeah, I think Peyton's a special player too. What makes Peyton so special is she has an ability to score, but she just wants to play the game. She doesn't care if she passes. She doesn't care if she shoots it. She didn't care. Like, she's got that kind of mentality. You know, I call it kind of a scoring mentality, where, you know, when you cut, you're cutting to score, but also you might set something up that's 2 or 3 passes ahead. She's the one that can do that. I mean, you'll watch some of her passes and you're thinking, where is that going? And all of a sudden it's led right to the right spot. You know, so our team has to learn, if she's got the ball in her hands, you can't stop on a cut or it's going out of bounds, right? Yeah. Because we have got to make sure that we complete all those cuts, because she'll make that pass. She also has enough versatility that she really can play every position for us. Her off-ball defense is really good as well. She's just a good natural communicator. So I'm really excited for her. Now, again, she's been out a long time. She hasn't really played it. I mean, she played in our exhibition game the other night. So it's going to be fun to be able to watch her kind of get back in that groove, and it takes a little bit. But I think, you know, I think she fits in with everybody. Everybody loves playing with her. So that's been another really easy transition.
What do you see from Beatrice making those steps forward now that she'll have a much bigger role?
Yeah, I mean, between Beatrice, between Landry, between KJ, there's a lot of production that we really want in that paint, right? And so offensively and defensively, I think B has really gotten a lot stronger. I think she's pushing people out of the box a little bit more than maybe she did a year ago. Her rebounding will continue to go too. And then I think her positioning, I think she's worked a lot on her positioning. And so in a lot to free up her hands, right? Because a lot of times you come in, you've been double teamed the whole time. There's people everywhere. You can't make a read, right? As a post player, and she craves that physicality in the block. And then you post up and you're holding people, and then all of a sudden you don't have your hands, right? So she's really learning a lot of that footwork and technique, and I think you've been able you'll be able to really see that progress. And she last year kind of came in, and it just incrementally, just throughout the year, and so we'll see the same growth this year.
How important has someone like Nevaeh been, you know, a veteran that's seen a lot of time on the floor in your system on this team with all these new faces? How important has she been?
Well, Vea's been awesome. Obviously, she's a pace setter for us. She's so fast. She's all in. She's worked her tail off, especially from a three-point shooting. We need to get her more opportunities from the three-point line because she's such a great shooter. She's got a good command of the ball, and she's steady. You know, when we work a lot of situations in practice, she's 9 out of 10 times making the perfect decision. And if she doesn't, her and I are in a lot of discussion. And so it's been really fun, too, to be able to watch her. And so she'll kind of gravitate over. She'll even come up to me in practice and be like, you look like you're mad. I'm like, well, I am mad. Or most of the time and she just wants to know what I'm thinking and what's happening so that we can really be on the same page, you know? And so I think that's also been really significant growth because she's just become more assertive and been able to be really confident in who she is and who we are as a program. So you have to have people like that to be successful. And so thank goodness it's a point guard especially.
Right.
I understand tomorrow's a pretty big day for the program, for your coaching staff.
What's tomorrow?
Quiche.
Oh, quiche. I'm like, what the hell's tomorrow? I'm like, oh my God. Like, well, we're like baby central here. Our academic advisor had one. Courtney had one. I know. And so we'll miss quiche all of a sudden. Did you see me? I was like, oh shit, what did I forget? I'm like, whose birthday is it? Who's getting married? Who's having a baby? Quiche, obviously. Yeah, and especially her because, she's kind of like, I recruited her. I've known her since she was 14 years old. So this will be really fun. And yeah, everyone jokes that I'll probably have the baby more than she does. So it's really nice when they're not yours. You can give them right back, right?
Yeah,
You don't even
exactly.
have to. I know,
You get all the fun
exactly.
stuff and none of
Trust
the
me,
bad.
and especially when they get older and they start talking back. So
you're
yeah,
telling
but
me.
no, I know. Trust me. No, it's awesome. And you know what I think has been so amazing is that we've had both her and then Courtney Harris, who's our operations. And these guys have been, I didn't understand it when I was pregnant and coaching. It's so important for these women to see these professional women that still show up every day and they're working and you wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know, she probably doesn't feel great, you know what I mean? And it's not easy to do and you got to get off your feet and you can't be off and you're trying to manage, but they show up every single day. And so for these women to be able to see these two very powerful, confident women that are giving birth and then their children are part of our program, I think there's nothing better.
What's that transition been like this year with your coaching staff? Obviously, a little bit different look than what you've had.
Yeah, no, it has been, and it's been fun to cheer on Amy, right? As a head coach, and then we've kind of shifted some things around. Shannon, I've known forever. Mike's really stepping up. It's been really fun to watch him grow too, because I think that's coming from high school and he knew the state, and that was a really big deal. And you can see the transition really growing. Players love him. Shannon's been awesome, so that's been great. Obviously, then with Quiche moving on, we had some holes to fill. And Terry, who came in for the year just to help out, he worked with our program last year and the year before, just in terms of did some consulting for us and some data analytics. And so the players, again, this also goes back to our culture, because we talk to our players about things like this and things are happening, and having him come in and they're all like, yep, it's great, and then he says whatever he says. He's, from the UP in Michigan, and so he talks like he's from Canada, and it's just been awesome. Like, the players have totally embraced him. He's a great guy. So the culture, the chemistry, I think Tyus brings a lot of young energy for us, and he was here a year ago, but different because now you can activate a few more coaches. So it's just been a really good energy. It's been really fun. Now we're going to miss a couple seats, with probably Liz being gone for a little bit, and then obviously with Markeisha being gone for a little bit too. So we'll see.
You previously talked about Skylar Van and kind of her leadership with the team. And what I'd like to know is how big of an impact has that been on this program, and who else have you seen really emerge as a leader as her time here at the program?
Yeah, Skylar's so solid. I mean, she just really is. It's been fun to see her process through everything, just kind of playing in the first year, and then all of a sudden it's trying to manage all that emotion of the expectation, and then to be able to watch her in the off season really kind of just get to work and understand she's a lot better when she has fun and when she's really competitive and all those little details. And so that's where she's kind of really led from that space. She speaks up, she talks. Again, another player that's really confident. So that's been fun. I think Peyton's really stepped up in her leadership. And Sahara Williams, actually, as a freshman, I've been really surprised in terms of her ability to come in and just speak up and lead for us. So I don't know if we've got one leader. I think obviously Nevaeh is one. We have a lot of people that have really kind of stepped up in different ways. And that's kind of how it goes sometimes, is it's not leadership by committee, but leadership by what you're really good at and be strong at that, and then people follow.
You touch on Sahara there when I ask you about her, and not just her game, but just the attitude that she sort of brought to this program. coming
Yeah,
in
you're
as a
gonna
five-star.
love her. Like you're just, yeah. And take the star out. I don't care if she's 2-star. You're gonna love her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can see why she is, and what she, she'll develop her skill set. She'll have days where, it's, and people have heard me say this a million times, where it's like, oh my God, she's only a freshman. And then other times you're like, oh, okay, yeah, she's a freshman. Like you can tell there's certain elements. But she plays with a smile. She's gritty. She shows up. She has super high expectation for people around her. She's really mature in her responses. She might have something, and then she might, something might happen, and then she might come back and be like, okay, I could have responded better. Freshmen aren't saying that, and not owning that. But she will be like, yep, okay, and you can coach her really hard, and you can roll up her sleeves. She's comes from a really good high school program and a really good club program. The transition's been really good for her. I think it's been fun to play, with this team, on this team. But you will love her. You will absolutely love her. You'll love talking with her. You'll love, we were on the radio after the game the other night, and they asked her about, Brian Brinkley said something along the lines of freshman accolades, and what are your goals this year? And she's like, well, accolades are fine, but she's like, that's not my goal. My goal is just to make us better. And you're like, that's cool. And we hadn't gone over any responses, and I was sitting there thinking, oh God, what is she gonna say? You know what I mean? I'm like, there's probably nobody listening right now, and I'm like sitting here thinking all these things, and she just responded beautifully. So.
Sounds like you need some more training for the SID over there. To not have
Right,
that.
exactly. Yeah, come on, Josh.
No, it's not like you got anything else.
I know.
going on right now.
Well, I will laugh too, because we went into the press conference after the game the other night, and Lexi Keys was with me, and she was very professional, and I'm cracking jokes with James, and I'm like, and she's like, I've never been one like that before. I was like, oh, get used to me. I know, so we both got to kind of get used
You're
to
a
each
little
other.
different.
I know, exactly.
Most games are a little different.
I know, exactly. Well, and I'm probably very different, so. Anyway,
Anything else for Coach, guys?
awesome. You guys, thank you.
Thanks, y'all.